Oh no, this is a problem, isn't it? What we're looking at is the A226, or rather a collapsed section of the A226 in Swanscombe, Kent. It actually fell apart in April 2023, caused by a burst water pipe under the road, which then alarmingly fell onto the industrial estate and buildings below, causing substantial damage, although fortunately no one was injured. Over a year later, the road still isn't fixed and it's causing quite a few issues. So what are we dealing with? The A226 is one of two main roads that run between Swanscombe and Northfleet, and because there's a bit of a railway in the way, road connections are fairly limited in this area, and if one of those roads were to close, it's likely to cause some serious traffic issues. If one of these roads were to close for over a year, well, that would just be chaos. The chaos began in April 2023 when a mains water pipe burst underneath the road on a section called Galley Hill Road. The sudden rush of water caused subsidence on what was previously fairly stable ground, and this resulted in a large chunk of the carriageway failing and then falling onto the industrial estate situated below. The water supply was eventually shut off, stopping any further collapse, but it was a bit too late with the damage that was already done. The road was immediately closed to traffic, and whilst it may have seemed stable, it would remain unclear as to what the real extent of the damage was underground, and it was all at risk of further collapse. To make matters worse, because of the water mains leak and the supply being shut off, the surrounding houses and businesses lost their water supply. But more devastatingly, an internet connection was also damaged. Whilst you can live without water for a few days, you've got hours to live when there's no internet. To remedy the lack of water, tankers were brought in to supply those who had lost their water connection until such a time that the water pipes could be repaired. Over a year later, and the road still isn't open, with some sources suggesting that it won't be open until 2025. So what's the hold-up? It doesn't look like the hardest thing to repair, or is it? Well, yes, it turns out that it might be. To understand why, we need to look at what's happened to the land surrounding the road. In the old days, the A226 was just a road that had been in place for centuries, and then in the late 1800s we started to excavate the land for stone and chalk. They dug out vast quantities of material to supply the various industries located here at the time, and what was previously a road that ran along the ground was now a road that was suspended 30 feet up on a cliff. They dug right up to the road edge on each side. At the time, this was not considered an issue, whereas today, there's no way you'd allow for such activity so close to a piece of infrastructure, but it is what it is, I suppose. But this does make it difficult to quickly carry out a repair. The road is 30 feet up on a cliff, there's no access, and if you wheel heavy machinery across the road, there's a high risk of further collapse. It's a real dilemma, and one that the councils and water companies are still trying to resolve. It seems that there isn't really an ideal solution, no matter which way you look at it. The first thing they need to do is secure the cliffs to prevent any more of it coming down. Not so easy when they're 30 foot high. You could build a retaining wall, but that's going to be massive, and if it was built, any local businesses that weren't damaged in the road collapse would be forced to move out to facilitate its construction. An easier solution that relies more on luck than anything else is that the road can be repaired as it stands with no strengthening work being done. If this happened, the road would need to operate as a single lane only with traffic light control to limit the weight exerted on the road and cliff. Not great either then. The best solution is of course the most costly, but it would ensure that the problem doesn't come back in the future. Demolish the road, remove the cliff completely and build a bridge. There's already a bridge taking the road over the railway, so it could be easily incorporated into this, and with the road no longer running on a cliff, problem solved. Yes, it will cost a lot, but I'm past caring now. Just build it right and it's done, isn't it? If you start now, you might get it done by 2025. Probably not, actually. No matter which way we look at it, the first thing the local councils have done is try to work out who or what is to blame. Is it Thames Water and their leaking water pipe, or a problem with the land itself? Working this out is a lengthy process, one that has led to delays in anything being done, with one source suggesting after 10 months of road closure, not a single site inspection has been carried out by any authorities. As for Thames Water, whilst I know they have a stellar reputation and couldn't possibly play any part in this, one news article suggests that Thames Water have dug up this section of road over 45 times in the last few years to make various repairs, and apparently residents had been reporting water leaks in the road months before any collapse occurred, but I don't imagine that's anything to do with Thames Water and their leaking water pipes. Whilst the water companies and local authorities continue their discussions as to who's going to pay to fix the road, it will remain closed, promising to cause traffic mayhem until 2025, by which time a solution may have been decided on, and then they can start working on it, so maybe open for 2026? In the meantime, we'll just have to hope that nothing else goes wrong. There's always a chance that more of the road could collapse. Nah, it'll probably be fine. Thanks for watching.